Hello, everybody. This is a fabulous night, and I'm glad I am here. So that's really great to be sharing it. The inspiration for my talk tonight came from the splendid e-bulletin on the Friday, the 5th of June, which started with a call for contributions for tonight's meeting. And immediately below it was a picture of Archie Todd, with links to Janet Bolitho's splendid article about Arch and David Thompson's story on the history of Todd Road, named after him, of course. Inspired by seeing this portrait of Arch Todd in his full mayoral regalia, and I'm hoping you can all see the picture and remember its presence in the bulletin, I decided to contact Margaret Bride about an event that I was always sorry I hadn't been to at the very beginning of my time working at Port Melbourne Council. Arch Todd was the mayor of Port Melbourne in 1973 and 74, and he was responsible for my appointment to the job of developing the Port Melbourne Social Welfare Centre in Liardet Street. The story of my appointment back then is a good one too, but for another day. Although one place I really wish I had been was to have been a fly on the wall after I left the mayor's room on that fateful night when I was being interviewed for the job by all 9 gentlemen councillors and the town clerk and the deputy and the city engineer. A terrifying experience, but I'll tell it all another day. I started work on the 13th of May in 1974, and 6 weeks later, I got married and went off on my honeymoon, which was negotiated. It wasn't a spur of the moment thing. And while I was away, the annual mayoral ball was held in the grand old town hall. And so, to my regret, I missed this wonderful event in what was to have been Arch Todd's last mayoral term. I wish I had been there because until I went to the following year's ball, I had no idea what a grand event a mayoral ball was. And Port Melbourne did mayoral balls really well. The full-on red carpet treatment. You had the mayor of the day and the lady mayoress, the town clerk and his wife, and the city engineer and his wife, and maybe even the deputy and his wife, all at the end of the red carpet to welcome each guest as they arrived. And then one swept into the grand hall, which was superbly decorated and set up for dancing and supper and speeches. It was a real mayoral ball. And for me, and I'm sure for lots of Port Melbourne people with happy memories of them, these were the grand events in the old auditorium with its Art Deco decor, wonderful dance floor, wraparound balcony, and the big stage. Finding pictures of the interior of the town hall to show you its former grandeur has been surprisingly difficult. Even more surprising has been our failure to find any photos of mayoral balls. There must be some out there somewhere. So I'm wanting to put out a call to all you old Port Melbourneites to try and find photos of mayoral balls and capture some of that wonderful magic. There must be some out there. I'm sure Perce White must have some somewhere. So the only photo that we were able to find to capture the splendour of the hall was this really interesting one, which some of you might have seen. This is a photo of the Red Cross ball on May the 24th, 1938. And the occasion was the opening of the remodelled auditorium, which is interesting in itself to get a date of when the old town hall was developed in that beautiful Art Deco style. And we do have some other photos that Kay Rowan found for me that capture some of the grandeur and the style of it, which is really beautiful, showing the wraparound balcony and the beautiful big stage and so on. And one other lovely one of a little piece of the frieze that was around the walls, showing a beautiful liner coming in to Station Pier. So, but of course, the ball I want to see the photos of is the one of Arch Todd's ball in 1974. Arch was a tall, distinguished gentleman, and he would have cut such a fine, handsome figure in his full mayoral regalia, standing there to greet his guests. So I so wish I had been there. The mayoral balls, but this is not just a wish I'd been there talk, it's also a wish I could go back and be at all those mayoral balls again. The mayoral balls were significant annual events on the calendar, not just for Port Melbourne, of course, but for most councils. Some had grander reputations than others. They were all highly anticipated events because they were gatherings of all parts of the community, the significant contributors to life in Port Melbourne, whether through sport, business, community service, churches, or social groups and clubs. Then by the mid-70s, the gatherings also represented the colourful ethnic makeup of post-war Port Melbourne, with its big groups of Italians, Greeks and Turks. And this multi-ethnic mix at events became even greater through the years following Arch Todd, as the next generation of mayors came in to make their mark, starting with, of course, 6 times much loved Mayor Beris I. Beris had wonderful relations with all the different ethnic groups and the migrant communities, who in turn were very fond and very admiring of Beris. As these groups formed stronger community organisations, they too would hold grand events in the town hall. And I have vivid recollections of the first Turkish function, a dinner dance, I think it was, and there was certainly delicious Turkish food and belly dances and music and the works. The first break with the mayoral ball tradition that I can think of was the radical move by Mayor Joe Schwartz and his partner Chris Coombs, who in 1990 held a bush dance. By this stage, we were in the new upstairs town hall auditorium, a very different place. But the bush dance was a great night, and I'm deeply indebted to Joe and Chris for holding it, because on that night, the takeaway gifts, instead of chocolates or wine, were tubes of native trees, appropriate for a bush dance and right in line with Joe's commitment to the greening of Port Melbourne. I took away a tube of Callistemon bottle brush that night, which has thrived over the last 30 years right outside my back door, and right now is giving us all the biggest thrill of having a southern boobook owl, or mopoke, roosting up in the branches above my clothesline, which is a bit of a hazard. But what a wonderful memory. This is my beautiful owl. I hope you can see him. What a wonderful memento to have of the great mayoral balls of our much loved Port Melbourne. Thank you, everybody.